It's long.
Yeah, it is. I gotta trim that up. I found like a cache of free music and like just stuff people write, and it's really a lot of it's really great, and it's you can all different genres from. Yeah, anyway, you get the point, but it's free. You got to give folks a plug like in your
Nice.
details when but that one I made with GarageBand, but it's like that's not my sweet spot, obviously. So getting music is easier online from people who are pros at it. So welcome to the Michael Jordan episode number 23. How are you guys?
Good, good. How you been?
Very good, man. Very
Good.
good. Still trying to find a job. Getting working real hard, all that kind of stuff, like the song goes. How about you, Eddie? How you doing?
Good.
Now,
Just chilling.
yeah, now I can see that you're on a bike down by a river, and you're somewhere
That's right.
in where are you? Maryland? Did you
Somewhere
say?
between Washington, D.C. and New York City.
Okay. Well, that would probably be like Maryland, Delaware. Beautiful, beautiful area.
Maryland, Delaware. There's a river. That might be Delaware River. I just realized.
The Delaware River Valley. I know it well. We lived in Pennsylvania for a while, and
Oh, it's
you come down through
beautiful.
the Delaware River Gap is like one of those places I never knew existed, and it was really not that far from where I grew up, until I lived there. But so that's cool. So you're making your way south. I see no rain. I know it was like you guys got like biblical
Oh,
amounts of rain in the
yeah.
Northeast, right?
On Friday night, we took 4 hours to get after work. We took off to DC,
Holy
and
cow!
man, I never rode through such weather.
Wow, that's some serious hardcore stuff. How did that feel?
I had plastic bags in my boots, and at the first gas station, the water was halfway up my ankle.
Oh.
Like, oh no, I mean it was like deep. I took the bags out. My shoes. There was no stopping the water. I had full rain gear on. It was just you just had to resign to cold and wet, and just bite down and get to our destination. And it was nice because yesterday was beautiful, but
So
man,
when you say there was no stop in the water, like, is that just because it was just like terrible rain and you just couldn't deal with it? Like it was no rain gear would have mattered kind of thing, or was it,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had all the gear. I was prepared for the weather, but still, there was not one part of me that was dry.
How did you feel like, how does your bike handle in the rain? How you've got a lot of
Fine.
miles.
It's just me. I'm the only problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I get cold and then I get stiff,
Yeah.
and you're not so agile anymore. That's my weak spot. But just you wait till I get my Gerbing jacket.
Yeah, is that
It's over for y'all.
Yeah, you can wrap yourself up like a burrito, and I
Yeah,
think
if you're warm and wet, it's different than being cold and wet.
yeah, and that's like the slightest bit of discomfort. And this is an interesting. It'll be an interesting segue for our main topic today, the great gear debate, because we're going to talk more on the safety tip, but you find out very quickly as a newer rider, like after 45 minutes. That's what they should say. And I think I read this once when I was bought my first helmet. I think I read somewhere that said like put it on your head and just wear it around your house for an hour. And if if you have pressure here or pressure there, like it's not the right not a lot of people can do that. They just have to kind of wing it. But if you put something on and you 45 minutes later it hurts, you're screwed. Right, if you're on a long ride. So I can definitely feel that. What's the Gerbing is the name of the jacket you're buying?
Yeah, you can plug it into your bike.
Oh, no
I used
shit.
to have a battery heated jacket, which was from Amazon. Absolute garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, after like barely a year of usage, the battery doesn't. It's just garbage. So I'm
Dude.
just gonna be plugging myself, my gloves, and my jacket into the bike.
Get this, but real quick, we will move on to our business. You mentioned you bought something from Amazon that was garbage. Of course I have moved it. I had it here for our last episode, and I put it somewhere. But I ordered if you can look directly behind my head here, in this new studio space, we created like a faux wall using like a row of not the shelving you see there, but behind those tapestries is like industrial floor to ceiling shelving. And so we just use that. But there's like actually a doorway that you can walk through between the shelving and the garage door. So I want a beaded curtain for it, like an old school beaded curtain. And I went on Amazon and bought one. And I'm telling this story backwards, but fast forward to a couple days later, I get a package from Amazon. I open it up and it's a lion costume for a dog. Now,
What?
if you know me and you know my household, that's not that there didn't strike me as odd that came. I'm like, who the fuck ordered this? And I realized or who sent it, and then we eventually realized that's somebody at the Amazon plant grabbed the lion costumes, which must be next to the beaded curtains or whatever, because that's what I got.
Oh my God, what are the chances? Does it fit your doggy?
No, I don't think so. It's funny because we have a bigger dog that's like the 40-50 pound range, and then we have Larry, who's like a sausage dog, so he's oddly shaped, but it might work. Right now, I'll get us moving here, but right now I'm more interested in finding him antlers for the upcoming holiday season, and just like we're gonna like just the one antler, so he looks like the little Grinch guy.
Cute. Excellent idea.
So, all right. So, moving us right along here. Eddie, thank you for joining us. Mike, thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys coming in on a Sunday. And looks like the weather finally got better in the Northeast. Couple of updates real quick before we get into the topic du jour. I did cut out and make a clip of the tribute portion of our last episode when we talked about Rich and a couple other riders. So I cut that separately and posted it up on YouTube for any Rich, his family and friends. That way they can get to it a little bit easier without the 40 minutes of banter on either side. So I got that cut out for them. I am thinking about with Larry. You can see my bike in the back. You can't see the carrier in there. I'll have an update hopefully in the next couple of episodes, but I keep him in a carrier. I'm thinking about trying the backpack. So they have like the backpacks that the dog actually straps to you. He loves, like, if I lay down on the floor, he will come and run onto my back, and he buries his head into my hair. He just lays there on my back like this. So he likes being like that. And there were times when I had the carrier behind me on the seat and not the luggage rack that he would stand up and have like his hands on my back, almost to the point like it was making me nervous because I didn't want him to fall out or something like that. But so I'm gonna try to see if we can rig up a backpack setup. So that'll be in between job hunting. That'll be my special project for this week. So we'll see what there's definitely a few that I found out there that I can use for inspiration, and I've got a backpack I think that might fit Larry nicely. So
nice.
Let's get into the topic du jour, folks. This is the main dish for today is what I call the great gear debate. And I picked, this is not in an attempt to be polarizing. I think, and you guys tell me what you think, but when you think about motorcycle gear and safety in particular, we're not really talking about style or that kind of thing. We're talking about safety in particular. When you think of gear, people have lots of different opinions, but generally speaking, the two ends of the argument tend to be, all the gear all the time is the safety end of the argument, and my body, my choice. Yeah, at GAT. My body, my choice, which I shouldn't characterize as being the polar opposite of at GAT, because my body, my choice could be, I wear fingerless gloves. I know your hands are the first thing to go down. I wear all the other gear. If I lose my fucking fingertips, then so be it. You hear people say stuff like that. Or I wear I wear sneakers, and I've seen the videos of people's feet ripped off, and I'm willing to take the risk. So it's not like it shouldn't be my body, my choice. Doesn't also mean people like I showed in the art on the for this episode, the 4 people and a kid on one bike, or the woman in a bathing suit riding a bike, or the guy in shorts and a t-shirt. That doesn't mean my body, my choice. But generally speaking, that's what I think, kind of where the two arguments are at. But I don't know, that there's no definitive source on this. So what do you guys think? And welcome Carlos too.
Hi, Sensei.
Having
Oh,
Give him a minute to
hi.
get the Atari fired up.
I'm having
Technical difficulties.
There he is.
Where am I?
Yeah, there you are.
Hey, there he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, you're good. You're
I
good.
didn't see you.
And your timing is excellent. We had just finished the BS portion of kicking off the show, and we're starting to get into the meat and potatoes, which this week is the great gear debate. And I'm being a little bit charged by calling it that. It's not necessarily a debate, but we just finished saying, Carlos, that people tend to be either in the all the gear all the time camp or my body my choice camp, which could include everything from I bike in a loincloth and that's my what, or something else. So that's the way I think about it. That's where people tend to be. But am I missing anything? Is there another group, another camp here that I may have skipped unintentionally?
I don't think so. I mean, you really summed it up. I mean, it's my choice, my way,
Yeah.
and people that say that. It's just very interesting of those that say they rather, like those of us who are practical and have the space, want to carry the kitchen sink with us, because what if?
Yes, that would be me.
What if we need that paper clip?
Yeah.
What if we need that Band-Aid?
Yeah.
What if we need that? And then those are saying, yeah, no, I'm not going to bother with that stuff. But then they're the guys who look at those of us who have space in our tour packs or have space in our bags and say, oh, could you carry this for me? Or do you happen to have a socket there? So, yeah, you know what? I think it's also a cross between the bike has to look cool, so you can't have too much stuff on it, versus, okay, it's not practical, but it looks cool.
Yeah, and for people, I think just kicked off a plug there. Hopefully nothing came undone. We'll just temporary.
Is that why the garage door is going up and down now?
Normal.
What's that?
No, I said, is that why your garage door is going up and down now? You stepped on the door remote.
All right, we'll just hope that we'll hope that the zip ties hold that in place. I have like a surge protector mounted under my desk, so like the wiring come up there, and I just kicked it off.
Well, I could say, like with helmets, when I was younger, a lot of guys hated being told they had to wear helmets. So for some of these guys, their solution was to get these fake helmets and then get fake DOT stickers and put them on.
Oh no!
So they could pretend they're wearing. I'm like, so you're wearing a helmet.
That's so idiotic.
And you think you're screwing the man, but if you fall down, the thing is going to crack like an egg. If you're going to wear the fake helmet with a fake sticker, you should be wearing a real helmet with a real sticker, and you won't have a problem.
So let me ask you a question. That's a good point, Mike. If I could interrupt you for a second, ask a follow-up. So I think you're touched on something that makes a lot of sense, that in the camp of I don't want to wear a helmet, I tend to think there's probably two groups or more of people in there, which are people who say, I don't need it, I don't care, I like the feeling of the wind, like whatever, they have something. And then there's probably the, I don't want to have to do anything that I don't want to have to do, which is our kind of distinct trait for us.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, I don't want to do what you told me. So it doesn't mean that they may not have like, not that either reason is better or worse, but if somebody's like, I want to feel the wind in my face and my hair, that sounds a little bit more romantic than, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. But they're really the same thing, right?
Well, I can say I've ridden without a helmet, and I hated it.
Really? Yeah.
just my personal. And I had the helmet. The thing that happened was, I used to work years ago, right? And when I left the bar, I go to unlock my helmet, and I couldn't remember the combination. I totally forgot the combination. So I had to ride home with the helmet on the sissy bar chained up.
Yeah.
And I'm riding home at like 3 o'clock in the morning with no helmet. And it's like I'm getting hit with bugs.
Yeah.
My hair is, when I had hair, my hair was all blown back like a bad Frankie Avalon movie.
Yeah.
And the wind noise. And I was like, right, I was like then and there, I was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I'm just curious. What I'm curious, think about the states that are helmet free. Okay. So let's think about, like, for example, Connecticut, you can ride without a helmet. Florida, you can ride without a helmet. Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
you can ride without a helmet. And you wonder, I mean, I think I'm just throwing this as a generic question. If all you did was your riding, you rode in an environment like that where probably most of your buddies probably never wore a helmet, you probably get used to it. I mean, I see it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then there's that few minority among those folks that say, let's be careful, let's ride, and so there's that mindset. Is it too restricting? Is it because that's the law? I'm used to it already.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think I have the list of states up here with their various laws, and most, I'm looking at. There's a lot of states, more than I thought, that do not have helmet laws.
How do they get the asphalt to be so soft in those states? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like Georgia. So there's a column here. And this is, I'm looking at the Institute for Highway Safety or whatever that is, IIHS.org. And a lot of them say 17 or 18 or younger, but not all riders. So I know Arizona, Arizona is a no helmet state, but Nevada is a helmet state. And this is, one guy's opinion. I've only lived here for 6, 7, 8 years or whatever. Now, Nevada and Arizona are not states that have lots of like nanny kind of laws. Like, they're not places that strike you as being like, if you go out in the desert in Arizona, you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want as long as it doesn't bother anybody else. And I've seen it, right? So I always thought that was weird that Nevada had it and Arizona did it. But it's weird when you cross over into Arizona and you start seeing everybody's riding with no helmet. And so I've wondered, as a newer rider, is there something that I'm missing? Like Mike, I have no interest in riding without. I took my windshield off, a few months ago because it got hot. And like the first time I went out riding, and shit's hitting me in the face. I was like, no, I don't want it. I'm not going back to this. So.
Right. Yeah. No. Even I used to catch a lot of grief because a lot of the guys I would ride with used to wear the beanies, and they're like, "Oh, you're wearing a goldfish bowl, you're doing
Brain
this, you're doing
bucket.
that." I'm like, I got no problem. You wear whatever you want. And the ironic thing was, one of those guys actually laid down his bike and dragged his face on the ground.
Oh,
and it was bad. And I thought he lost his nose.
Jesus.
And
oh my
luckily
God.
when the bandages came off and everything, it was all like, everything was still there. And I was
Healed.
like telling some of those guys to see, like, that's why
Yeah.
I wear a full face.
Yeah.
And I've actually killed 3 birds with my face while riding.
I believe it.
I go bird hunting. I go bird hunting when I ride. I must look like a giant poppy seed or something.
How
It's
does
got
that
got
feel?
suet cake on the top of it.
Yeah.
Killing a bird with your face?
Yeah, I hit a seagull at like 80 miles an hour on the Garden State
That's a
Parkway
large
riding down
bird.
to
What
Jersey.
the fuck?
This thing, I saw this thing. It was like loping along, right? And I'm like, yo, what the hell is that? Is that a seagull? I'm like, and he's like just chugging
Oh my
along like a
God.
pontoon, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to slow down, but I'm stuck in traffic. So we're all doing 80. They would only let me slow down, but so much. I'm trapped in the left lane because I got cars left and right in front of me. And I'm like, I'm trying to slow down, I'm trying to speed up. I'm like, and this guy looks like he's pacing me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, as it gets close, I'm like, that Efro is gonna hit me, right? Sure enough, I try to duck, and it bounced off the top of my helmet, and I think he hit the car behind me.
Well, you know what?
The other time
The hell with
I hit
seagulls.
a pigeon. Yeah. Oh, the seagull. Luckily, that was a glancing off the top.
Yeah.
And then I hit a pigeon on the Bell Parkway, and my friend was riding behind me. He was hysterical, man. He's like, "Man, you hit that bird! That bird is." It like popped in his feathers. I'm like, I didn't even see that bird. He just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And hit me in the. And then the last time I was going to work, I was on the sawmill, and I looked up. I saw this little sparrow. He was way up in the sky, and he just grief overtook him, and he committed suicide. He literally dove down right into my face. I mean, he was all the way up there, and I was like, God, look at him. Like, boom. Next time, I got bird poop and feathers on my visor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What?
Yeah,
So,
seagulls are not small birds.
yeah.
You know, it's funny when, and I'm just thinking of, just thought of a story with, instead of a bird, a bug.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
think about it. A bug, a minor, tiny little sucker, not a big chunky bird like the blood and splatter and bones and feathers, and you know, you'd rather probably have that object hit you and it bounces off rather than that little bug that somehow is able to go around the windshield, go past the visor,
Yeah,
and
work its
land
way
in
up.
your ear. And now
No.
you have this thing
Oh God,
vibrating in your ear.
I'd lay
and
my
you're
bike
trying
down.
to be, and you're trying to be your cool, which is, it happened, you know, as a tail gunner with the group at one time, and it was like, and if they really looked in the rearview mirror, this is what they would have seen. Ah! and then I mean, I was hitting my helmet.
Oh,
I was
that's
going
like my
back and
worst
forth.
nightmare.
And
That's
then we pulled
amazing.
into the gas station, and as the guys, they look like, hey, Sensei, and this is what they see. Taking off the helmet, throwing it down. They hadn't seen anything. They say, Sensei, are you upset about anything? And it was that time to have composure. You're like, because I had managed to stick my hand and it was like this stuff,
Oh God.
you know. And I said, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. But
oh my God.
Anyway,
I'm in the middle of
going back
I'm in the middle of a Fast and the Furious screening. I'm going through all the movies in order, and there's one of the movies where they tortured this guy by putting a rat in a can in a metal garbage can on his stomach, and they turn the garbage can over, and then they heat the garbage
That's
can
like
up with
the
a
flying
torch.
sensei's helmet.
Yeah, that's what I just thought of right now. Is what that's what your story just made me think of. Same
going back
thing.
to another comment. And it's a great point that Mike made before, and Eddie, you know, realized why do people do that? We've all heard these guys buy, as I call them, Tupperware helmets.
Yeah,
I
brain
mean, you
buckets.
know, you could do better with an old steel pot and put it on your head, would protect
Yeah.
you better than these guys that get these plastic helmets and they put a
Mhm.
DOT sticker on it
Right.
to go there. And I can tell you the irony of one of those situations that Mike was describing was up in upstate New York, up Albany. Albany's the capital of New York. So what happens is there was always a protest, you know, about the helmets and yada 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 and all this stuff. Well, the irony of that, the head of the protest group that of no helmets, the president of this group, died
I think I read
because
about
on
this.
that day he opted to ride with no helmet.
Oh my
and
goodness.
He died, and they interviewed the trooper, who I forgot, either found the guy. He says, "Well, sir, you know what happened to?" He says, "Well, he's the president of the blah 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 organization." I was that. And he's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead because he didn't subscribe to what we say is follow the law that a helmet will save you.
Yeah.
Had he had a helmet, he would have lived. That was
seems that fate is not without a sense
that was
of
the
irony,
epitome
right?
of irony.
Yeah, exactly.
The head of an organization that was saying we have the right to wear, I got that, but be aware that there are consequences that go with that.
Yeah.
So
there's
anyway,
two things that that surprised me. Two references to my motorcycle safety course, which I've talked about before. When I took that course, there was more in the classroom part of the course and the road course about how to navigate flora and fauna and birds and all manner of things. Like, they went into the actual science of, like, if a dog is running towards you, like what to do, because dogs like run in a straight line or something like that. So basically, if you like slow down and then like accelerate at the last minute or something like that, the dog Well, anyway, like, so I was surprised only until I really started to get out on the road, and which reminds me, Mike had said way back when I first started riding, you the things you smell, the changes in temperature. Yeah, it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but you really are out there dodging, everything. And as far as a helmet goes, I've mentioned this on the show before, but I thought it was really a really helpful tool. One of the instructors in the class I took had a full face helmet that he used, and on the helmet, like where this is my cat's helmet, on the helmet where the artwork is,
Of course.
you know how like when you get like you see like those diagrams of a cow and it's like sectioned off into which cut is which.
Yeah.
The helmet was like that, and it was sectioned off with percentages, and it was when people get in motorcycle accidents, where their head hits which percentage of the time.
Uh-huh.
And like, not surprisingly, the long story long with this is the part of the helmet that's like the skull cap or the beanie is very low, very seldom the part that hits. It's the face usually, and like the percentages are off the charts in the front, not off the chart, but they're significantly higher. And the point the helmet wrap makes obviously is that, and I have a modular helmet that I wear occasionally, but the point that it makes is, you're likely to get hit up front, and it does happen. So I thought that was an interesting way. But what about the modular helmet? What about like you got full face, I think we kind of all
you got
covered skull caps.
Let's work it backwards. You have you have your shorty, okay, which is the ultimate, beanie cap shorty. Then you got your 3/4. Your 3/4,
Right,
a little
comes
bit
on the
more,
back.
a little bit more protection. Then you have your full face, as a rigid full face, and then the modular was only really more recent invention, because people are saying, you know what, I want to have the comfort and feel of a 3/4 and the ease of getting to it, and at the same time I want the protection of a full face.
Let me stop you there for a second, because and I want to, on that last point that you just made in particular. So I'm not a scientist, I'm not a helmetologist, so don't take this with a grain of salt. But when I bought my Scorpion XO, which is a modular helmet, I did a lot of research into, what am I sacrificing here? Because it has, and I can grab it in a second, but it has lower like trim on the side of the helmet and a face piece that make it appear like a full face helmet. But those are pieces that they come off, they snap out. And they do not provide protection like a helmet. And they say that like in stickers when you buy it. So that's part one. What I read to back that up, basically, the science as I read it, and I don't know, from the safety studies, is that a helmet without a chin bar, basically a complete piece that goes through like you would have. Like if you don't have that, you might as well have nothing in the front of your face.
Also, Sensei, you missed out one helmet. The convertible helmet that Harley sells, for example.
That's a modular helmet. That's the one I think So that's
Are we talking about the same thing? Convertible, modular, probably.
No.
Yeah,
you can actually take it can be a skull cap helmet.
Eddie is actually,
and then it can be a full face helmet, and a 3/4, but you take off these plastic pieces off of it.
Yeah, you're
correct. Is that it?
I misspoke.
I misspoke. Assemble and disassemble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I misspoke.
I had one of those, and it's just garbage.
So
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I misspoke. So hang on a second. So they're a modular helmet. The part about the chin bar is still true for both modular and these break apart helmets, which I'll come back to.
Yeah, there's no chin
There's
protection.
no chin bar in either of them. But modular is technically the kind where like you don't take it apart, the face just pulls up like that and then goes back down. This
right.
So Harley Davidson
there's no protection for the chin.
Yeah, this is a Scorpion. Is made by Scorpion. Harley sells a Harley branded version of this. The only difference is instead of the Z thing up here or whatever that is, you have a Harley emblem. So this is everything on it, right? But then as you pop it apart, the front piece pops off, So now you got a 3/4 helmet, right? And I'm going to make you guys watch that. I won't go through taking the whole thing off, but then you can take this plastic here, everything below the line here, this all comes off. So then you have just the beanie and the earpieces, you know, can be swapped out as well. So I bought this, you know, because I thought it was going to give me some modular options, and it has done that. But without, it doesn't give you the same protection up front. And if I really wanted to be able to, like, you know, are there roads, like, I could call me stupid, but I want an open face helmet for times, you know, maybe I want to wear an open face helmet. And so this I thought would help me do that with more like round protection up top. Just hang on one sec. You got to see this. I mean, I can't hear you guys right now. I don't want to die, but I don't want to look like an asshole either. I mean, this is so, I don't, perhaps I should say I don't want to look like a dickhead either, you know, like
you know, the other thing,
God.
the other thing that's funny too is when the modulars came out, they were really popular with the smokers.
Oh yeah,
because
I didn't think of that.
The guys would pop the helmet up and smoke. They wouldn't have to take the whole helmet off.
Yeah.
So
I see guys smoking while they're riding, and I'm like, you're on a level of, you know, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's over here.
It's a lot of leverage though when you because I have a modular.
Okay.
And when I lift the face plate up, it's a lot of leverage on your neck.
Oh
especially if you move.
It's like opening a grill.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
like
even
the hood of a
the
car.
visor, you catch the wind in the visor. You know, you kind of want to sail a little bit. But when you open that whole chunk,
yeah,
and you're like, whoa,
yeah.
So you got to hope you have a strong neck for that.
And
that's so true.
Is that your primary a modular style?
Yeah, it wasn't by choice. I liked the design and I picked it. I never really did any research into whether or not the modular was as safe. I always assumed it was. It's very interesting you say it's not. You know, and the funny thing too is, I think in all the years I've had my helmet, I think I've only opened it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Usually you can still talk through it without having to open it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's for people. It seems like it's for people who want to eat or smoke while they're riding. Yeah. And yeah. I don't do anything. I just use it if I need to scratch my face.
Yeah,
right.
You can get a straw to drink, you know. I mean, maybe not solve the smoking thing. This is a Bell helmet that is actually this is the Harley's version of it. They don't make this one anymore, but if you see the front of this thing, I bought this and this is my preferred helmet. Now with this on, I look like a Lego man and not a dickhead. And it's got a big opening, so maybe a little bit less like, it's a full helmet, but you know, not as much. Like I don't have like the Bane thing from, you know, I'm not
right
like that in front
That's
of my
what
head.
keeps the steaming down.
Yeah,
when it's cold, you don't fog up as much. It concentrates your exhaust.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know we probably aren't, I'm very bad at it, having ride. I tend to keep helmets way beyond their life expectancy.
Which is
I mean, I don't think anybody on a regular basis bothers to look inside and see when we put it on, we take it off. We put it on and we put the foam back in its place. We mush it around.
Yeah.
But I, for one, have to admit that I am a helmet pack ratter. That, you know, if it's a cool helmet that I got umpteen years ago from a patriotic, or hand painted, whatever, you know, and then when I started reading more about safety side, saying that the practicality, that the protection cycle of it is long overdue. I think, I forget, I don't remember if it's like 5 years you're supposed to, you know.
I heard 4 or 5 years.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Yeah, I think it was at 5. And I looked at one, I think I have one that's like 23 years old. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's
you know, and I eventually, you know, just had to put it away, you know.
Well,
but
you can buy most helmets, you know, I assume most riders know this, but most helmets, you can take out the linings and wash them, you know, if that's a thing. And the problem is, like, you got to remember
mine
to
is
do it.
long past washable.
Yeah, because this is what happens.
My helmet is very funky on the inside.
Yeah, if you
Oh, wow.
have to proactively do it, because if you discover that your helmet smells because like you're going like this and you get a whiff and that's the indicator, that's too late. Like you should that's
No,
you've
no,
gone
Jay,
too long.
Jay, no, Jay, that does nothing.
There's many
It's when you
levels.
go like that and you see little black pieces falling
Little
out, the
detritus
foam
and,
deterioration.
yes.
That's when you realize, or your head, the chrome dome,
The
you got little
fuzz.
black specks on your head. You say, maybe I gotta get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Eh,
And on
yeah.
the lifespan of helmets, something in addition, and I know we've talked about this before, but for anybody who doesn't know this, if you drop a helmet from higher than 3 or 4 feet, supposedly the
Yeah.
helmet is no longer good because
It's
there's
the
material.
tension, the
Yeah.
surface tension.
And there's
Breaks.
actually like this is how they explained it to us in the class I took, but like you know how NASCAR has those safer barrier walls that are like they're like multi layers and they have like some kind of a foam in the middle of them. If you didn't, now you do. But that's basically the helmets have a similar construction, and that foam is only meant to be compacted once. Like so, once you hit it, it's done. It can't be used again. And that's what a drop from higher than 4 feet or so could supposedly do that. So,
Right. They say
one
also
of my friends,
right about handlebar height.
one of
Right.
my friends, true story, in the sense that I saw a guy, one of my buddies, that he had an accident. There was an event. There was about 50 to 100 guys riding for this memorial, yada yada yada. I was the tail gunner bringing up this group. So I saw it in slow motion in which somebody cut him off. The bike wobbled. He got flung. And you're seeing your friend, go parallel to the ground and land. And as a tail gunner, I was then bringing up the rear. So I was able to block, put my bike down. I was the first guy on him to render him assistance, et cetera, et cetera. And he eventually, what happened, while he talked to me and everything, he had the shoulder, the arm, and everything. But the most significant thing about that is he showed me later the helmet that saved him. And I kid you not, there was a 2-inch nail, as if I took a hammer, put it into the helmet, and smashed it in there.
Damn.
Sticking. I said, what? And he said, this helmet saved and he saved it to kind of talk to people
hang
about
that on a wall.
Yeah, I stared at it, and I kid you not, when I was like, wow, and this was on the highway,
yeah,
and how you couldn't have, as if you just took that hammer and in there. He from that day on, he has always worn and continues to wear a full face helmet, and talk about, to me, it's like, after seeing that, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I had there's another, Bell makes a helmet that has kind of like that German look to it. And then it's got, instead of a face piece, like the plastic kind, like I have on this one, it's got almost like a pilot's oxygen mask kind of thing. And all it is like a plastic piece that sits over your face. So it's really it's kind of like Mad Max looking. But
Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly.
Darth Vader, Mad Max. Yeah.
I rode with I was gonna say kid. He's 19 and a Marine. I shouldn't say kid, but a younger guy who got in a wreck here and went into a Jersey barrier. He's got a little bit banged up and was more or less fine. But he had one of those helmets on. And thankfully, he hit it in the right side, but it was like this side of the thing was just like where it went into the Jersey barrier was just like it just ripped the helmet apart. It was not. I think about that being my head, and that's enough for me to keep a helmet on. So, yeah.
The other thing I like on my helmet, which I'll never get another helmet that doesn't have it, is the built-in sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
So you just hit the visor, push it down, they come down over your eyes.
Yeah.
That's a great feature to have.
Yeah, and we'll get to wrapping up here shortly, and we can pick other gear up. And one of the things that's much less interesting than helmets, eyewear and handwear as a motorcycle nerd. Those I've tried over the last few years to find like exactly the right type of glove and I've had mixed results. Let's put it that way. I bought a pair of gloves, $30. They had like they must have like a cloth interior, like they're not just plain leather, they're a mesh and something else. They were supposed to be like 3-season gloves. I pulled my hand out of the glove and the entire thing came out with it. And now I can't get it back in. I'm like, is this I gave it to Liz, like, this is sword and a stone. I'm like, if you can put this back into the glove, this hand, you can have my motorcycle, because I can't figure out how to do it. But so we'll cover other gear in a bit. One of the things that I didn't mention that I did include in the show notes is, for what it's worth, and again, we want to hear from people. We want to talk about this again in a future episode, but the data, the science, I guess we did mention it with the percentages, is overwhelmingly suggests that you should have good shoes, gloves, a helmet, and eye protection on, for obvious reasons, and also because these are the places that your hands, your feet, and your head are likely to be the first things that hit. I don't know how much about the head, but I know the hands and the feet part of that is, I think, somewhat valid. So we'll cover we'll get to other gear in a future episode. Before we start to wrap up, when you guys, I think the answer is probably no, but when you go to states that do not require a helmet, you guys ride with your helmets anyway. Am I understanding that?
Yeah, my helmet always stays on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. The only time I ever did that, I just because I wanted experience it. Family was going down to the Key West, and I said, okay, it's a straight level. There's no inclines. It's just a lot of bridges. Okay, let me feel the wind going through my hair.
Yeah,
my beard actually.
Yeah,
but
how long ago was
this? So that was about the only time, but Pennsylvania, Connecticut, never bothered to rip it off there.
Yeah.
What I like to comment about the eyewear, and again we can bring it back again.
Jackets too.
I found that for me, my challenge of night, and we can bring a whole topic about night vision, night riding, and what works for me is I found through amber goggles.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because I need, especially my eyes, with protection. So the foam rubber. A good foam protection, but amber. And I found that, and again, there's different types of amber. If you get cheapy amber and you got really good light, it does, if you happen to be doing dusk or night riding, it makes a big difference. And it's something that if you've never done it, give it a shot.
Yeah, I have a pair, and this is probably true everywhere you go. I think I've only been riding since I've been in California, but here, even on a cloudy day, the sun, you don't need sunglasses necessarily, but if you get out and you're riding, you definitely need them. And those amber glasses are the perfect. Like, I can ride with these at dawn, dusk, and on cloudy days and not feel like I'm going to be screwed.
And going to Mike's point, I also have a helmet that I like that, like what Mike said about, it has a visor.
Yeah.
There's just a lid that comes down. I find that if I'm wearing glasses and it's maybe clear, and I just need that little skosh more of wind protection, maybe the glasses I'm wearing are not quite protect the wind. I find that, but when I found that I can't get away with big giant Oakley's glasses, because then the visor's like...
they got to fit in the helmet, right?
And so now I find that I'm like this, boy, that's too tight,
Yeah,
so,
it's definitely... I want to, in addition to eyewear, gloves, and you could throw footwear in there too, I also want to talk about, I guess we're talking the whole kit and caboodle, but your jackets and then,
chaps,
pants secondarily. But, and here's the reason... Part of the reason why is, a lot of this, there's tons that you can read out there about, if you go to, if you read about motorcycle gear, you go to a website and you're going to get all the gear all the time instructions. Well, what that doesn't tell you is, okay, how does this work in practical application? Because there's no way everybody does all of this stuff all the time unless you ride once a month or something like that. So, tell me, like, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? Like, that's what this kind of conversation helps me, and particularly like with a jacket, and that, maybe different than a helmet. Like, I ride in just a vest all the time, which I know is, asking for road rash. I've got gloves, I've got every other piece of gear on, but I live in California, sun's out, guns out, like, but so, that's the kind of stuff, like, I want to hear what your logic is and how you guys, kind of make those decisions. So think about that, as well as, what you have. Like, it's not the kind of shit you can walk up to somebody at bike night and be like, "Hey, that's a nice jacket. Did you?" So, at any rate, I think is in addition to gear. Also, before we get wrapped up, as I mentioned to you guys online, I have started watching The Walking Dead. I am among one of like the 3 or 4 remaining people on the planet who hasn't seen Walking Dead, and really only because like the zombie apocalypse thing for a very long time, like I don't mind telling you guys, like it didn't sit well with me. Like the idea of watching humankind disintegrate into its worst form is just not something I found to be relaxing. I don't know.
But you want to get a crossbow and mount it to your bike.
I exactly. Yeah. So not only,
okay, so cut the crap. Tell me that you want a crossbow.
I want the crossbow, and then Wyatt started watching. Started watching it too. So I'm in season 2. I slowed down.
Or a baseball bat named Lucille.
Yeah, exactly. But I told him, I was like, he's like, so you want a crossbow now too? And I was like, yeah. And I said, the more I watch the show, the more I realize that there's a lot of weapons we're missing, and we need to start. We need to start amassing. But yeah, the zombie apocalypse now. I think now my brain has flipped a switch where it's like, this might be useful information. So
I just like the part where he's riding his. I'm assuming it was a Harley. I don't remember the kind of bike it was. I know they.
No, you mean our hero there, Daryl?
Yeah.
I remember they pieced it together, so it was like a Frankenstein bike, really, right?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far in the show, but like I know in the first season he has his brothers. It looks, it's a chopper. But then I Googled it to see if I could get a picture of that bike, and I sent that actually to you guys on Instagram. And when I did that, I saw him on another bike, and I realized, I'm not that far along in the show. Walking Dead, it's not like a spoiler. I mean, it's so ubiquitous in the culture. And actually, somebody told me somewhere along the line, it might have been another guy in my class, that one of the reason that like adventure bikes have sold off the charts is they credit him as being like, this guy gets really popular, and people started going buying adventure bikes in droves. So
hey, there's a series there, movie stars and their favorite bikes. I mean, or what do you associate bikes there? I mean, if you ask somebody, how many people are going to say The Great Escape with Steve McQueen on his bike trying to escape out of the prison? Now, if you've never seen The Great Escape, then it's a moot point. But I mean, I always think of it, Steve McQueen on his bike. You think of Arnie and the Terminator, on his bike,
That's it, decided. This is our next episode, Hollywood and famous motorcycles, because I have... what did I just rewatched, like in its entirety, which almost never happens with movies, right? Pulp Fiction a couple weeks ago, and there's the Chopper, Zed's Chopper, Grace, and you see that I see people with that paint job on their tank, and I'm like, I'm not sure. Are you Zed or are you Bruce Willis? Because depending on what message you're sending with that, it was very different characters. But anyway,
the character Daryl. He actually had a spin-off on riding motorcycles across the country.
Yeah, is that
riding with Daryl? I think it was.
Yeah, riding with Daryl. So he would hook up with different celebrities or internet stars, and they would go on.
Yeah, even Negan. I think even Negan, the actor Negan, joined him on a ride. Just to hop on there.
Yeah, there's a couple of Instagram accounts that are like. Just post pictures and history, that kind of thing, and there's one that has done a number on bikes. I'll see if I can I'll find out, but there was a movie that called The Gent I think it was about Jimmy the Gent, like a famous gangster, and I think it was Michael Madsen played him, and he had a chopper in that, and a big custom tank, big peanut tank that said the Gent down the side. And the cool thing about this topic is that there's a lot of famous bikes and famous riders that were, they weren't just sat on the bike for the scene. They were like really serious. I don't know what you think about him as an actor or person. I don't have an opinion, but Mickey Rourke is an example of, somebody who's an avid rider.
Early in the Marlboro Man, right?
Yeah, and like we talked about Nick Nolte and Brian Bosworth a couple weeks. Not Nick Nolte. That's funny. I should say. What's his name? Gary. Gary
Busey.
Yeah, Gary Busey. Yeah, Gary Busey. That
funny. That was. Let's leave it at that because that was pretty pathetic, but we'll just leave it.
Yeah. When in that show, American MC, Gary Busey goes on stage as he does at every place they go and just starts playing with the band. And as he's on stage, you can hear in one of the scenes, you can hear somebody in the bar yell, "Nick Nolte!" like that, and everybody's like, but all right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up here. And next episode, we're going to get into Hollywood bikes. That's a great poll on that topic. Before I get you guys out of here and on with your Sundays, anything exciting going on for the rest of the day, or are you guys just loafing it? I know you had a big
waiting
morning.
for the ground to finish drying out. I got like
yeah.
5 days of sun coming.
Nice.
And hopefully the next 5 days should be really sweet.
Good deal. Right on. How about you, Carlos?
I was up this morning at 5 a.m. I was part of 3 motorcycles, part of the New York City Triathlon. Woo-hoo. And this was the first time I decided to map what I was doing, crisscrossing. My area of responsibility was from 56 to 125 and back and forth, and escorting, making sure bicycle people don't get hurt and everything before they did. I came home to realize I did 78 miles.
Holy shit. Is that mapped on your Rever ride so I can go take a look at it now? Is it like all back into the same
You'll
spot?
see that the same figure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
78 miles.
78 miles, 1 block at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, that's it, man. It's a game of inches. It doesn't matter.
So, I'll share it with you there. You can check it out, Jake.
I want to see that.
It was fun. Anyway,
well, listen, guys, stay dry. Thank you again for taking the time out to sit and bullshit with me on a Sunday afternoon. I really, really appreciate it. Again, if you missed the tribute to fallen riders, you can check out a clip on YouTube. There's a cut down clip of that, so you can speed through if you want to take a look at that. So check it out on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe as well. Otherwise, that's it, guys. I want you to have a fantastic weekend. Be well, stay dry. We'll see you on the flip side. Cheers, guys. Take care.
See you later.